frequent speaker at internet-related conferences and writes a monthly byline for the online marketing publication iMedia Connection. Robert?
Thanks so much, Ellis, and also thanks to Bob and to B2B for once again inviting us to participate in these series of webinars. This is a great pleasure for us, and thanks certainly to all of you for joining today, and Happy New Year to all of you. So what we're going to talk about today is the top 4 things I think you can consider leveraging when you're leveraging content management into your online marketing efforts. Now, for all of you who read the abstract for this when you registered, you may remember that it was the top 5 things, but in the spirit of the down economy, we've had a 20% cutback here, and we're only going to do the top 4. In all seriousness, what I did was I just combined one of them to get us to the top 4 because I wanted to make sure that we could fit in questions at the end and for the sake of time there. So so here we are. We're in 2009, and we all get a clean slate, right? So hopefully we all get a clean slate as marketers and the opportunity to make it a really great year. And I don't know about you guys, but when I came back from my holiday break, I mean, I feel like we're a little bit in uncharted territory here. You know, I was on my holiday break, I was watching one of my favorite movies, which is, of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I don't know if you guys remember, there's a great scene where they've just blown up the entire German camp with that great flying wing, and they barely escape with their lives. And Marion asks Indy what he's going to do next, and Indy says, "I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along." And that's what it kind of feels like right now for us. There's stuff we're supposed to do, but our budgets or our people have just been cut. And commenting on that poll, I think it's a really interesting thing that staffing came up as high on that poll. I think that might have something to do with, that we just don't have the people that we thought we were going to have in order to get some of the things we needed to get done. Some of our projects got cut, but, quite frankly, some of them we were right in the middle of them, and they feel like they need more effort, and it can feel like we're just making this up as we go along. And we're all worried, of course, about what the first quarter is going to bring, what the year is going to bring. And then again, maybe based a little bit on what's going to happen next week, we've got this weird feeling of hope that might carry us through to a better year. So as I was working through the outline of today's talk earlier last month, I happened to catch this really interesting article in, ironically maybe, of all places, B2B Magazine. It's an article that came out in December by Kate Maddox, and I absolutely recommend it for all of you. And I think she summed it up really nicely. And I wanted to introduce the concept of what I'm going to talk about today by just referring back to her article. And her article was really to the point that 2009 is going to be really about marketers doing more with less. Now, we've all heard this more with less thing for a lot of years, but I think this is the year we're really going to feel that pinch. And her article summarized how the recession was really going to force a lot of new innovation and consideration of budget. And as I read her article, I think it struck an interesting tone and a synergy, really, for this talk. And that was how content really is at the center of these new marketing trends. So as her major trends, she had these 9 bullets as her segments. But what I want to do is just focus on these first 4, as I think they're really complementary to what I'm going to talk about today. And the first one, of course, is doing more with less. And that's making every marketing dollar count. As you look to get more creative, as media budgets shrink, you've got to do more with less, less staff, less time, et cetera. Leveraging social marketing or starting to build a community. And I look at community as really that conversation, those community of prospects, of customers that we want to talk to and start to have a conversation with about relevancy. Trust and transparency, which I think is a new concept that's just starting to get introduced when we talk about content marketing and how we use our website, but it becomes an incredibly important thing, especially in an economy like this, where we need to build credibility, and we need to roll that out with a new focus on brand, confidence, and safety and security in times like these. And then Kate also talks about being part of the solution. And what she talks about here is how brands are endeavoring to be parts of solutions that are more global in nature. Now, this certainly also centers on content. She uses this with the case study she mentions with Siemens, in fact, where she says providing thought leadership, which means using your brand expertise as a platform for that change. So in looking at this list, and I think it really points out how integral our online marketing is to our web strategy and how the website revolves around one simple thing, and that's content. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that our content strategy is our marketing strategy. And having the right strategy to effectively manage our website, our landing pages, our microsites, our social networking content, it's got to be an extraordinarily important process in our marketing organization. And it makes sense that the right CMS tool, the content management system tool, is an important piece of that strategy. So in today's talk, what I'd like to do is walk you through 4 things that we, as marketers, can consider in 2009. Now, this is not a to-do list, but it's more about how our web strategy, our web marketing strategy has evolved. These aren't necessarily things that we wouldn't do in a great economy, but they are things that I believe are key in an economy where we don't have the luxury of a growing budget. And where appropriate, what I'll do is I'll also wrap this into practical case study examples so that they try and make clear the action plan you can take with your website strategy. So the 4 we'll cover today is first what I like to call the resurrection of website marketing management. And then the importance of organic free-range content, or how content marketing is more than just search engine optimization. Then how web content is really a conversation. And finally, we'll wrap up with the content mobility ability. So again, for the sake of time here, let's just jump right into it here with our first concept, the resurrection of website marketing management. So it used to be, and when I say used to be, I mean early 2000s, that the e-business strategy, that was the organizational website. It was just so time-consuming and expensive to launch a website that publishing a second site, or quite frankly anything other than what the e-business strategy called for, was just not practical. So, for example, if you were a bank, your main web presence was the online banking piece, a highly complex and very rightfully highly secure piece of technology owned by the IT group, or in some larger organizations, the e-business team. Or if you're a car company, for example, it was the super highly designed Flash application that allowed you to build your own, model or whatever that was. Or if you were any kind of retail or, commerce type of company, you're allowing your customers to buy things online through your e-commerce engine, your catalog. And some of these were absolutely brilliant strategies that brought the business into the digital age. This was really the strategy that fell out of that conventional wisdom of the dot-com boom, and of course that which immediately followed was it was all about the e-business. You had to have your e-commerce system up and running. Your website had to be functional, a destination, a portal. And again, many, certainly not all as we all know, ended up being highly profitable areas of business for the company. In fact, just because the new year is historically the time for predictions, I went back and I looked at some of the predictions that were being made about 10 years ago, the 1998, 1999 time frame. It was really interesting. There were so many of them that contained some flavor of this one that I picked from Smart Money Magazine, where they said basically it's not too late to capitalize on the web's potential, which is kind of funny that it came out in 1999. But they said business owners who are investing time and money into creating an online business with e-commerce, they can raise their company's profile, make themselves more accessible to potential customers, and boost sales. Note the focus on the words e-commerce and online business. So the challenge here in 2009 is that quote brochure site, it got caught up in the backwash of that effort. The website that just simply sold the product, the banking services, or served as the landing page for the online marketing campaigns, or the car company, or simply just the marketing engine that drove sales, they became the side project. I mean, how many times have you guys heard, oh, it's just the brochure site? I mean, in fact, the whole term brochure site or brochureware became kind of pejorative. And that's when the IT group or the technology wonks, they really took over the web operations. It was just simply deemed too technical for the marketing people to get it. And quite frankly, it kind of was.